hopefully Lori will get here sooner than later. You'll find user agreements, and these are the updated ones if you want one for you guys to look at. And we have pickleball. Anybody else?
Soccer.
Soccer's here. And are you with pickleball or?
No, I was here about the food truck.
Oh, you're the food truck. Okay, welcome.
You're the leader, Chuck.
We might need a food truck here in a little bit. Okay, let's start with pickleball since y'all are here. So we sent out our typical user agreement. And do you want to tell us your name?
My name's Tom Prickett.
Oh, hello, Tom.
Hello.
Haven't seen you for a
I'm
while.
on behalf of the Pickleball Club
Okay,
today, and they had me, I'm a lawyer, I work in Plattsmouth, and they had me review the user agreement.
okay,
And they took issue with just two of the sentences
two
in
sentences, okay.
paragraph 6.
Okay, let me get
I
there.
got a handout I can give you, but it's
No, that's okay,
basically
we'll just go to paragraph 6.
the last two sentences, paragraph 6, and that includes basically an insurance requirement and an indemnification clause. And the pickleball club is struggling with those two provisions basically for three reasons. First of all, this pickleball club is a lot different than a lot of the other clubs in Glenwood because they don't organize or run leagues or charge money to run leagues. And they're not regulating who's on the court or when.
Right.
And in fact, most of the users playing pickleball down there are not members of the club, they're just members of the public. And then also, they found it a little bit unnecessary because Iowa code provides that the city is exempt from liability on public property for normal and expected risks associated with a recreational activity. And that's Iowa code section 670.4 subsection O.
Say that again, 6, 7,
670.4,
okay,
and then subsection O.
thank you.
I have a copy of that also,
Okay.
but it basically exempts municipalities from liability on public property for recreational activities, which is, I think the legislature wants to encourage cities to provide recreational opportunities for its constituents. And then finally, the last reason is this club just doesn't have the wherewithal to buy insurance. Their indemnification from them probably isn't going to do the city much in the grand scheme of things. They're, volunteers. They were kind of organized as a nonprofit originally to help get their courts established, and they're more than happy to continue to put away the nets and clean the courts and do what they can with their sort of volunteer hours, but they just don't have the ability to buy insurance or do that indemnification. So those were the two, in their particular situation, the two sentences that they'd asked the city to consider removing from their use agreement.
Okay, we can certainly look into that. And the other thing, I don't even know if we need to have this, if you guys are never gonna ask to close the club or to have like a private event down there. I was told after the other council members had met, and that's where that $100 and $50 came. If you wanted to reserve the courts, you would fill out the special application fee. And I think that's where a lot of this comes into play. Sally, do you know that?
Have you guys ever done an event where you?
That you would ever close all the court, that you would want it just for a private event?
We had one event, there was a church in Tabor, minister came in and he knew how to run a tournament. And so, actually Sally was the president, you referred.
They called me and I said, you have to contact the city for permission. So they did that. The city charged $50 for that tournament. The club really didn't have anything to do with it.
Oh, okay.
And then our recommendation after that tournament was that the fee go to $100, and then we didn't understand, and that was another item. The main item was what Tom spoke of.
Okay.
We wanted clarification on the 100 and the 50. We didn't understand.
Well, the
that.
100 is if you wanted to, I think, reserve all the courts where nobody would have public access, like some of the other places that
That would
close, like,
change, because when this one tournament occurred, that's the only one that's happened.
yeah,
The city told the people running the church, running the tournament, that they had to leave one court open.
Oh, so then you're really not technically closing all the courts.
Yeah.
So
This wouldn't
That's the
probably
way I
even,
feel, yeah.
the tournament had to play on 5 courts and 1 court was left open.
just for somebody that wanted to come in and
Yeah,
play.
so
Okay. So typically you are not gonna probably ever request a special event. Okay.
you never say never, but no.
Okay, we'll run this by our attorney too and tell him that you were here and then we'll get back to you.
And
So
I'm
I
happy
think,
to chat with, is it Matt?
it's Matt Woods.
Yeah, I'm happy to chat with him.
Okay.
He can reach
Could
out.
you leave your phone number for,
Sure.
with Danny and then if he needs to reach out to
Tom
you?
Prickett,
Okay.
it's
Thank
402-296-6996.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll get back in touch if we even need to do
So
something.
my question would be, I see it's on the agenda as an action item later. So
Some of them might be, but not yours.
Pardon?
We'll table yours.
Okay.
And there'll be several that might not get approved tonight, but this will be for a later conversation. So you no need to wait around because it won't be an action item unless you want to stay.
Wonderful, thank you, Matt.
Okay, yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
Yeah.
Thanks again.
Yeah. Next, are you soccer?
Yeah.
Come on up.
Oh, I don't really have anything to say.
You don't have, but you don't have any questions on yours then? It's pretty much from last year? Yeah, okay. We just wanted to make sure everybody was
Oh.
okay with it. And that possibly, next year the rates could go up. I know the baseball club did suggest the $10 they were recommending just to help with extra part-time people and all of that. But this year they're keeping it to $750. So if you have no issues the way you've done it, and you're working with Ron as far as the,
Yeah, I think we're good. The only thing I would say is the field needs aerated pretty badly.
What?
does Ron aerate it?
Aerated.
Aerated?
Yeah, other than that, I mean.
So when, just reach out to him when you see that
They're
mean,
done
is-
with soccer.
Yeah, we're done.
You're done?
So I
Okay.
closed down before.
until fall. You'll have fall. And then you give him the copies of the chemical information so we can keep that on
I
file.
get that.
You
Yeah.
guys are still doing that.
Yeah, we just, Boothie does
Is
our,
it sharper blade?
no, Boothie does our,
Boothie does?
Boothie
Oh,
does.
Lucy.
Okay. Has he given you a copy from this year? So we need to get a copy just for our
We
records.
do have them always labeled the fields, you know, like after
Yeah.
he applies the chemicals and it has a time on there when they
Mhm.
can be used. Just to be clear, he only treats the fields.
Right,
He's
and
not
that's all we need
treating
for the,
This
yeah. for the-
space in between, so it doesn't look great, like in between the fields, it's
Just the
essentially
field.
weeds, but
Okay,
the fields, we have one field that doesn't look great, but it used to be
They practice.
it was, football field, so I think as if we get it treated,
Come in.
it should come back, I think. Other than that, the fields are pretty good, it's just
Okay.
the in-between spaces look
And the only,
pretty trashy.
I will treat the rest of it, but I still need to have a copy of
Yeah.
what he did just because there was chemicals put on
Yeah.
and that's a state requirement that they
Yeah.
have us keep it on file in case they come down and want to see what we've done. So
No, I think
if
it's
you're
fine.
good, okay.
I mean,
So if you want to sign tonight, you can sign.
well, I can't sign it because I'm not the board president.
Okay, so you
but
can
my
just take it
husband
to-
is, so
yeah.
he can sign it and then I'll drop it off.
And then just give her a
Actually,
number.
Mitch is bringing me flags, so why don't I just leave it on the porch?
There you
You
go.
can grab this and I'll grab flags.
And then we just need your have you paid for spring soccer then?
I think we just got the invoice, didn't we?
Okay, if you just got the invoice, so we're good on that. We
We
just
had a
don't,
really good season, we had like 286 kids.
Good.
We had 2 teams win their league division, which is great. And our
Oh,
high
awesome.
school team went to their second step staking, they beat Lewis Central. So I think soccer is really having a lot of success in our community and
great.
but I am glad soccer season's over. I'm
My
gonna,
kids all play.
yeah, I'm gonna take a break for 1 month and
There
then.
you go. And then you go back to it.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll
well,
get
thanks
it
for
signed.
coming. Yeah, I appreciate you
And
coming
then
in today.
I think I can just, if I give you the invoice for Boothies, that you're okay, if I give it to
it. As long as it's got what.
Yeah, that's
what
Angie
days,
trying to
that
learn
kind of
Google
stuff.
and
Just
into
from
Word
the-
doc. Should have seen me. I had to reprint them all tonight because I was doing a copy paste and some of them were even worse.
Yeah.
All right,
I need a secretary.
I'm gonna go home.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You know, our girls, our high school team is, the numbers are down. So if there's ways, my daughter is a senior, she just graduated this year, and they oftentimes had to switch JV and varsity games because they didn't have enough girls.
But they did
So-
really well too, let's not.
No, they did
They
amazing,
really
but just
well.
looking at the numbers dropping, so wondering if there's something we can do as a community when they're younger, so like keep them really,
Well, I think holistically, if you look, our athletic numbers for girls
Yeah.
are significantly less. Like basketball couldn't have a freshman team, barely
Yeah.
got a JV team on board. So, I don't, and it's a national thing. If you look
Yep.
at girls volleyball, you got great numbers. If you look at basketball, they're a lot less. A lot of people are doing club versus
yeah,
school sports. But I will say, we've never had a U9, U10, we've never been able to feel like a specific U9 team and a specific U10 team and a specific U11. They've always had to combine us, like U11, U12, whatever. This past season, we had a U9, a U10, a U11.
that's great,
Yeah, so hopefully,
yeah, absolutely. I think we just have to pay attention to the trends and see like where we're losing them, if we are, and if there's something that we can do.
yeah. And I think with girls, it's more of a friend thing, you know, so like, can we get our friends to play with us?
Yeah,
You know, and so the more kids we get, probably the more kids we're gonna get.
yeah,
So,
yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Good.
Awesome,
Hey,
thank you.
Thanks again for coming.
See you, Ron.
Okay, the next one is the YMCA, and they do the soccer, football, baseball, softball. They had no issues, Alexa doesn't, she's not gonna be here, she's already asked for an invoice, so that's a done deal, it's no change on that one as well. And then, as far as I know, co-ed softball, they're not here, and volleyball adult, so they were okay with the agreement. If they should pop in, we'll go to them, but I don't think so, and theirs is just $75 a team is the rate. Softball used to be 300, but volleyball said they would pay 75, and really works out to like 750 a person, so it's not very much, and it will help with toilet paper, you know, things that to stock down there and all the stuff you have to have, so we'll just set those here. Then the last one is, and Ron, you can come up if you want, so you don't have to yell that back there, baseball, softball. Sean is traveling, but he sent me his ed, and if you look at it in bold, is what they are requesting, and Ron's got some comments and then some photos, but we'll go through that in a minute.
Basically, it's just weird and a little strange on how I drag the fields when there's a game to be played on that field. I don't drag every field every day. It just takes way too much time, and so if me and Angie were talking, that's what they may be saying, but it's just weird and kind of strange. Then the mowing on the field, it says every 2 days. I would like that changed to Mondays and Fridays, weather permitting. But two times a week instead of 3 times a week. Saves us on fuel, saves us on time.
How long does it take to mow
Just the infield?
what you have to mow for them? Yeah,
They're requesting just the infields 3 times a week. And you're probably talking 4 hours
4 hours total
total.
for those.
Well, yeah, some, we have 2 people on them sometimes, and then, it cuts it down, but,
Okay,
I would like to have something put in there, like the Park and Rec superintendent determines if the fields are able to be dragged after inclement weather. I've got some pictures up there, and that's the reason why. We bought that brand new John Deere tractor, and one of the club members drug the fields when it was still extremely wet, and there was 3 inches of ag line on the top of it. But before I got a picture of that, Devin blew it off, but that's, I understand they're passionate about playing. I understand that they want to get games in, but if the fields are too wet, it takes us much longer the next day to try to get those fields back in shape. So I'd like to have something like that put in.
okay.
For this reason, why I showed you that is, I want the club to be responsible for cleaning the tractor and the implements after use. I get that it can be dusty, that's fine. But when something like that happens, when ag line dries, it's like concrete. So it's gonna take me forever to clean that.
When did they use it? And what are, they're using it
What
to,
day was that he called?
Damn.
Wednesday?
was it to drag the field though?
Yeah, he was.
Because
used it to
we
drag
hadn't done it, so they were doing it.
Yeah.
So typically, they're
It
not
was
using
wet,
it,
wet,
right?
correct. And
That day he dragged two of the fields that were dry enough.
no, I dragged two of the fields, 1 and 1A. They don't get played on very much. They never hold water.
Mm-hmm.
So we drug those just because when it has a little bit of moisture in there, when you deep drag it, it breaks up real nice.
So they had a disagreement on, his wheels were sinking into the field, so Ron said it's too wet to drag our standing water on the field.
And,
They had a disagreement on if it was too much water. So then they went out and took it and took
and he
a long time.
did it, he took it upon himself to go out and do it. And it took him 2.5 hours to get 2 fields done. I told him, I don't have 2.5 hours to get 2 fields done and have the tractor look like that afterwards. So there was a disagreement on that.
Okay,
I don't know if this is just something we need to talk to the clubs about, which I think it is. I think they will do this with no problem, but I just want to put as responsible for making sure trash from the concession stand is disposed of properly and not just left on the ground. We have coons that are there all the time and we go in the mornings and it's all over. But I
there's
think
trash
that
cans there for them to use,
there
right?
is, but they'll put like a big 55-gallon bag just right down on the ground instead of just setting it up on the trash can. And
And then they
the
tear it
coons are
open.
just, they go crazy.
Can we put down more receptacles down there for them if they're,
Oh, we can, but the bags they are using are not gonna fit in like our barrels, especially if there's already stuff in them.
okay, so we might need bigger barrels?
I thought about putting a dumpster down there
Yeah,
for them.
For the season,
Because
maybe?
we're filling up our dumpster to where it's overflowing with all the trash from the ball clubs and
Mm-hmm.
soccer and all that stuff. The only problem I have with that is just, you'd almost have to be locked so the public doesn't go down there and just.
But you
dump
could
trash.
lock it and give it to the people, the ball club to unlock it at night to, for them to put their trash in.
Correct, but the only problem I have is when the trash man comes, they don't jump down and unlock it to dump it.
Yeah.
They come like at 4 o'clock in the morning.
If they have a key, they will. If they're
They will?
instructed, I used to have to do that. I
Really?
had a whole key ring of businesses
Oh.
that were locked. You gotta get out, unlock it, flip the lids.
Why don't you check
You
into
gotta do
that?
all
Yeah,
that. So
that
that's
would be,
something to check into.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm wondering, instead of them leaving it outside in the ground, could they leave it locked inside the concession
If they
stand?
even put it in the bathroom, when we go and clean in the bathroom, we could take it out.
So we need communication.
Just,
Yeah,
yeah,
tell 'em.
I don't, like I said, I don't think that needs to be put in. but
No.
That's something we need to discuss with them.
Okay,
Another thing I think may not need to be put in here, but it's something we need to talk about is if improvements are made and the club is doing them, they need to pick up all the material that they're being used. That if the job's done, I've had stuff that's sitting out there for a month and a half that I ended up moving just to get it out of the way so we could mow. And it's,
what kind of stuff are they
the
leaving?
old fence, all that stuff that, they had to tear down the fence, the brand new fence. So there was new fencing there. It was
Mhm.
still sitting there.
Okay,
It was just, just construction.
okay,
stuff.
yeah, I think that's just more communication too.
And that's all I got.
Okay, good. Actually, Mitch is trying to get a meeting for
Okay.
you and him and a couple of the people in the ball club
Yep.
to maybe get together to finish this and maybe
Okay.
have this discussion. They can show the pictures and have
You want these
conversation.
back?
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
have Mitch keep them so that unless you need a copy.
Any particular day of the week?
For one, they're probably not gonna wanna do it until the ball club, or the season's over, cause they're out every night, so.
I think we need to reach out to them. It might have to be an evening meeting.
Of course, but they're playing right now, so most
Right.
of those guys.
And maybe
are
they'd
down.
want to meet right after a game if they're not related, an early game night or something.
So, yeah, just, if you can hold off for about a week, my mom's in town, so I'd like to spend as much time with her as possible.
She's here for a whole week.
She's here for 10 days.
10 days,
Yeah.
good.
Nice.
All right, thanks, Ron.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
The picture?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want them or
No,
can you
just
just
make
keep them? Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you need anything else?
Nope, I think that's good for now. Yeah,
All right, guys.
go enjoy your
Have a good
mother.
night.
Yeah,
Thank you, you too.
okay. Mitch, Trail grant update.
Okay, yes.
Move on.
So if you remember the last time we discussed the trails, you chose to have me pursue scaling the project down and rescoping it to add, to change the project to be that trail over by the bridge and connect it over to the high school. Because the original project, we don't have the matching funds for it anymore. So after that, I met with MAPPA, and they said to do that, we need to get an easement from the school. So then I discussed that easement with Nicole at the school, and then she discussed it with her school board. They came back with some feedback that just slightly changing the route to go up and around, so it wasn't a big change at all. So Jake just gave us a new picture, said, okay, this is, that's fine with us. And so they're okay with doing an easement. So then I had another meeting with MAPPA and the state to discuss how we go about doing an easement that meets all their requirements for the grant. In that meeting, we didn't even get to discuss the easement because the state who awarded us the SRT grant, which is about $200,000 in funding, they said that the SRT grant couldn't play a role in the project anymore if we do that new trail, because the new trail isn't in the trails that were proposed for the SRT grant. The original SRT grant went from the entrance of the lake park and then over all the way to the end of the baseball field, and then a little part that went off and an underpass under the Sharp Street bridge. And this one's all across Sharp Street, and so they said, unfortunately, this grant's it's strict on what you can use it on. It wasn't part of the original award, so we wouldn't be able to use the SRT funding, so we'd have to give it back. They said we could reapply for it with our new grant, and the deadline is July 1st.
Mitch, there's no way to be creative and make that like a phase 1, phase 2. So phase 1 is what they paid for, and then phase 2 is the rest of it. So it's not technically the same project.
Maybe they were saying it would have to include the trails that were in the original
Oh, okay.
application. The original application talked about making a safe way for school for people that lived south of Sharp Street, and now our trail is all north of Sharp Street and doesn't do anything about getting across Sharp Street. So when we had Jake estimate that project, he gave us 4 estimates for projects around $270,000, and so this one was around $270,000. We have about $180,000 in TAP grants from MAPPA. They seem like they would be willing to repurpose that grant funding to be able to be used for our new project. But the TAP funding can only be used on construction costs, and it has a city match. So the city would have to cover the city match portion and the engineering costs. The SRT funds can cover engineering costs, there's more flexibility with what that funding could be spent on. So the city would need to cover the engineering costs and the city match, probably around $100,000, which we identified that $92,000 from that 2019 GO bond that we are going to be transferring into the general fund for eligible 2019 GO bond expenditures that we
Which it could be used for that
purchased.
then, yeah.
with the general fund, so we're gonna be reimbursing the general fund that $92,000. So we've got the $92,000 coming into the general fund that we could then use for the match portion. But we won't have the SRT funds. And so they did say if we wanted to use the SRT funds, the trail would have to be, somewhere along that original plan. Or we could give the funding back and reapply. So I wanted to get some direction from you all, what you wanted me to do, what you would like to do with this trail grant. I see 4 options. Maybe move ahead with just the TAP grants for the rescope we chose, and the city pays the match for construction and all engineering. Of course, after we get better estimates to really determine what the city match would be. An estimate probably looking at a little over $100,000 city match. 2, the city returns all funding and pursues trail grants in the future. 3, the city moves ahead with TAP grants and applies for the SRT grant by the end of the month, July 1st. Because SRT grant can be used to match the portion of the TAP grants for engineering, so that could save us money if we got it awarded, but it's a tight deadline to finish an application by the end of the month. Or 4, the city chooses a different rescope trail route that can utilize the SRT funds we were already awarded, along with the TAP funds. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Well, 3 would be ideal, but there's no time to try to get another, you don't have time, and I don't know of anybody that's got time to write a grant.
Not a
Joe?
lot of time to put together.
I'm on vacation next week.
And he's on vacation. So,
I'd say if anything, 4, because it sounds like 1 and 2 would cost us more money.
Yeah, 4 we wouldn't be getting.
we wouldn't get the
I
tap,
could, we could look into, we'd still get the tap.
we'd still get the tap.
The MAPPA has a lot more flexibility in choosing what, they can change, MAPPA can approve the changes, it's not
Oh, yes.
strict on sticking to the original proposal.
We could
as
amend
the
this then
SRT.
with
Yeah, they can
MAPPA.
amend it.
Okay, maybe that would be your better option.
What do you recommend?
Whatever you guys want.
Donnie?
Well, after what Mitch just said there, I mean, where would we be at choosing a different route to try and use the funds we've been awarded? And first of all, how are they with the funds that we've been awarded we haven't used yet?
They want us to have a plan.
They want us to have a plan.
So as long as we could get something together fairly shortly,
This summer, I would think.
they're
sometime,
okay
right?
with the money still staying there.
MAPPA seems like MAPPA is willing to work with us to get a plan to,
Cause they've already
Get
pushed
our
it out
trail
in their
grant
schedule anyway, so
finished.
it's not like it has to be spent this year.
the state, I could follow up and see if we rescope to be a project that tried to add the underpass or
Yeah,
something like that, could we still keep the project?
that's what I was wondering about.
What if somehow the project we had now just added the underpass? Would that then meet
Yeah,
those are questions I could ask.
yeah.
I don't know what
Was that the selling point on the original plan, was the underpass for kids to get across
because
safely?
it's about improving safety for kids south of Sharp Street reaching school. The big problem discussed in that grant application was kids walking along Sharp Street
Mhm.
and crossing it. So those are questions I could ask and ask Jake how much that would add to the cost and see with the grant funding, what could be covered and what the city match would be.
I mean, I think that safety element is important, right? Because we do see a lot of kids walking down Sharp Street and kids driving on Sharp Street, and sometimes those two don't go very well together.
Yeah.
So I think that last option is good.
You want to pursue some more information on number 4 then?
I think so.
Okay, I can pursue information
And
on
come
number
back
4, but
2
then
weeks.
I'll also get you information on the
Number 1?
number 1.
Okay, I think that's a
Yeah.
good idea. I think that's a great idea.
I'll work on both.
Okay, thank
Sounds
you.
good.
Okay, admin, let's look at food truck. We have a gentleman here that's been patiently waiting. I should have done that earlier.
Did you guys want to do your discussion on the food truck?
We are gonna talk about it. Can you tell us who you're with?
Yeah, I'm Aaron Smith. I'm a resident and a business owner here in Williams County.
okay.
I own McDonald's and I've owned it since 2003.
Oh, okay.
Did you want me to step up?
Well, no, not at this time, Aaron.
Okay.
I thought you were a food truck.
No,
So-
I'm anti-food truck.
You are not a food truck. You are the McDonald's guy.
Yeah.
Okay. So when we call the meeting to order, there will be a time for visitors to make comments, and that's when we will have you come up and address council. So right now, I'm gonna let Christina take the floor
Sure.
and talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, had some folks come in and ask us to take a look at our food truck and application, the licensing fee, and said that the cost of the food truck license was prohibiting folks from coming in for a day or two because it was too high. The current fee is a $25 application fee with a $200 fee if you're getting 6 months or less, or $300 for the year. So Natalie and I took a look and looked at surrounding communities as well, and thought that we could reduce the fee. Well, two components. One, the application fee is $25. We wanted to have Mitch check into how much, if that $25 actually covered the fee, the time and labor it takes for the city to do what it does. I know there's Matt's time included, and then here at City Hall issuing the license, making sure that we're not kind of upside down on that. So we recommend that could go up to $50 if the 25 isn't sufficient now, but then reducing the fee from $200 or $300 to a $25 a day and $125 annually. That's what we came up with.
So 125 annual.
125 annual or 25 for the day. So if someone was here more than 5 days,
So a
then
weekend, they'd be $50 if they did 2
Mhm.
days. Yeah.
Yep.
Matt, do you think the $25 application fee is sufficient to cover your time?
Personally, I would go $50 a day on it.
$50 an application? Okay.
For a day.
Because that application will be good for 1 year then, correct?
wait, I think you guys are talking about different things,
Are
because you
we?
said per day. Are you talking about,
The day pass, I would do the $50 fee on that.
No, we're talking about the application
For
fee.
the application fee.
Yeah, that's what
25
you're
should be good for
involved.
that.
What's
Yeah,
that?
25 should be good for
You
But
that.
think
there's-
25 is okay with that?
but there's also stuff that has to be done here at City Hall too, right? There's the logging of it, the issuing of it, do we check the things that are in the application? Because we ask, one of my questions was, we ask if the owner is on the sex registry, but we don't ask if the people that are working on the truck are on the registry. And what do we do with that information?
If we do a background check on them, we only do the person that applies.
Okay. So that doesn't necessarily mean, and a lot of times might not be the owner, right? That's something to consider, right? Because if we're asking for the owner and the owner is not present, like what is the purpose of the question? To me, I would think it's who's in the community and who's going to have access to people. So if the owner isn't even on the truck, to me, that for asking that question is because we want to know who's having contact with folks. If it's not going to be the right person that we're doing the check on, to me, it doesn't make sense to be spending the time or money doing the background check.
Could the application include any workers then, or is that too hard to?
You'd have to run each individual worker and I don't know how the food trucks operate, but by the time they get here, you could have somebody that they just hired that came in.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And I'm not necessarily advocating for doing a check. I'm saying if we're doing it, are we doing it on a person that it even makes sense to do it, or are we just doing busy work?
Because the background checks, Eric's been running those on PD side.
Those take 3 to 7 days.
Right. But is the purpose to know who is on the truck and who's in the community interacting with people? Because if Bob owns the truck and he's home in Des Moines, right? Who cares? I mean, does it really matter that we're doing a check on him if it's Billy that's here running the truck? As someone is doing busy work for no reason, like if it's.
Not be doing background checks on all the employees, because we have background check employees in all the restaurants in town.
That's true.
Right, so to me, I just feel like we shouldn't ask questions if we're not gonna do anything with the information, and if we're not gonna be doing it with the right person for a purpose, then what's the, I don't wanna give you guys more work
That's a
than,
good question, I don't know.
Yeah,
I
we
don't
could
know
talk
what the
to
purpose is.
Matt about that
Right.
too on the.
I could see if the owner is the person who's gonna be working on the truck, but a lot of times I don't believe that that's the case.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think so.
And then that would mean that someone would have to go out each day and check and see who's on the truck, and I don't think we wanna get in the business of that.
Okay,
Um,
something we can kind of look into. As far as that license fee, Mike and Donnie, $25 a day, $125 a year, are you okay with that? Or do you think that needs to be adjusted? Thoughts?
So it was a one-time $25 application fee?
that's what it is now, but I think that it,
Oh,
Each year, correct?
each year.
Each year, it's only good for 12 months.
So between Matt's time going out and checking it, the application fee, is that included in the application fee?
It should be both
That's why
the
we're
city
asking if
calls
he's-
time
yeah.
and
So,
Matt's time
if
combined.
Matt takes an hour to go look at the truck,
I don't think it's actually included in that application fee.
So
I
we,
think that was just a set fee that they did when they, put that together. They just threw that fee on there when they put the actual ordinance together, when they put the old one in.
so between your time and your guys' time here in City Hall, what are we looking at, a couple hours?
Yep.
so $50 would be more in line then, like you said.
Will $50 cover the time that you guys spend? Like,
I just want us to at
Like
least be
Christina
neutral,
said.
like I don't
Well,
think
it's
that,
a quick, for the background check, that's an Eric thing and it's on a computer, so that's a few minutes. And then they
Well,
wait.
and that might not be.
Matt's got the longest
I
probably.
was gonna say,
time.
Matt's
That's
the
the
one
one.
You're
that
just
is doing
putting
the
the
most
filing,
for
yeah,
us.
so
It
probably
takes us
$50
maybe
would cover
15
it.
minutes.
Okay.
I would say 50 to 75 should be sufficient. Because basically, when I go out and I look at them, if they've already got, I have them send me as many pictures as they can up close so I can look at it, and then I make sure that they have all their documentation, which their insurance, their VIN numbers, their license plates, all that stuff. And then if they have a certificate from public health, and then I go out and I inspect the trailer to make sure that their fire extinguishers are up to date if they have, want the HUD system, that it's been inspected. Also, like their cords and stuff like that, that they're not frayed, or we have a tank that's expired sitting on it for their propane and stuff like that. Most of them are pretty simple because most of them, a lot of them are newer, but then yeah, occasionally you run into one that's, they probably shouldn't be serving food, and I just deny them right away. So.
I'd rather see $50 than
$50?
$25 fee.
Okay, so $50.
Application fee.
And then Matt, that's only on, there's 4 classes, right? So it's only class 3 and 4 that you have to do that?
Yeah.
So I think,
Well, and then they should have a fire extinguisher, so you should be going out and at least checking to make sure that they have a fire extinguisher on their, and they're not putting like their generators that they're using to run equipment with. If they're not placing the generators right next to the back of the truck, or, you know, okay, we're setting our gas can on top of the generator, those type of things.
okay.
So,
So for the class 1 and class 2 though, you don't have to do anything with them,
As long as
right?
they just serve another, it's already prepared stuff that they're just serving, then we just look at the application, we look at that, make sure they've got their insurance and all that stuff in there.
So does it make sense then for those where you don't have to go out and do a physical inspection that it's $25, and where you have to go out and physically inspect that it's 50?
I would still leave it, my just leave.
I'd leave it one.
Leave it
across
one.
the board.
One across the board.
One across the board,
Sorry,
okay.
Just
Hearing it.
more,
Application
That's gonna
fee,
create more
$50.
headaches.
Okay.
Okay, then the actual license fee, 25 a day. And then 125 a year, are you guys okay with that? And you guys look at various
Just looked at
towns.
various towns, and this was kind of a median or average.
You okay with that? Okay. Okay, I'm gonna move on to,
Do we wanna let,
no, he'll come in on the other, yeah. Do you wanna do code book now? Or do you wanna do tier agreement and Pacific Junction
We can do
contract?
that one.
Let's
We could
do
probably-
tier
we could probably
agreement.
Table the code book till we've got,
More people here?
yeah,
Okay,
and then that gives people more time to get stuff
Okay.
back to me.
very
I
good.
was a little ambitious.
I had my done. Just saying, I did mine too. Okay, so we're gonna push the code book update to 2 weeks. So let's go to tier agreement and Pacific Junction contract for fire and EMS. So,
The tier agreement would be going to Malvern and Tabor. I've got a copy of the actual tier agreement up there. You guys should see it up there on the desk. Basically Skylar drew that up, and Matt was reviewed it. Current all Iowa code language. Currently, right now, whenever we go to if Malvern or Tabor calls and says they need a paramedic because they need advanced life
yeah, I
support,
got mine.
then it says that they basically need a paramedic because they may need pain management or cardiac meds, or they may need to intubate that patient before they get to the hospitals. Life-saving measures. Currently, right now, we do $90 every time a paramedic jumps in the back, which takes that paramedic out of town.
Danielle.
Could be
you
up
got a copy?
to an hour to 2 hours, depending on how long it takes them or which hospital they're going to.
Okay,
I've checked with a lot of other agencies, that was always set really low back in the day when Butch did the tier fees. I checked with a lot of other agencies, and $250 is where they're at with the tier fees. And then if they respond, we respond, and like they just need assistance over there, and we don't get in the back of their ambulance, then it's $150 fee that they charge for recoup for fuel, equipment, everything like that. So that's what the tier fee would be for. Like I said, that would go to Malvern and Tabor. We average probably at least 3 to 4 calls a month, maybe more, going to those areas because they don't have a paramedic. This would only be for tier fees, it's not for coverage. That would be a whole separate issue.
right.
So I'd like to get these contracts in play within the next 30 to 60 days.
And who did this for you?
Skylar. wrote-
Skylar, have you had Matt Woods look
Matt
at
has
it?
already reviewed it.
Perfect. Okay, any questions? Nope. Okay, looks good.
And the next one is a service for fire protection and emergency response inside the city of Pacific Junction.
PJ,
We
okay,
do not have a contract with them. We have 28 for everywhere around there, and we get all that money that comes into there. Basically for fire protection and emergency response, I came up with the idea, which I think would be a benefit to the city. Basically, we run anywhere from, basically 8 to 15 calls a year inside the actual city limits of Pacific Junction.
8 to 15
8 to
calls a
15
year?
Calls a year.
Okay.
It's not very much, and I don't see that really increasing. Inside the actual city limits. I'm not talking about off the interstate or Platteville Township or Lyons.
Okay, so inside city limits, okay, got
They
it.
have a bunch of equipment that's down there that we could use. They've got a cardiac monitor that's worth $70,000 brand new in the city down there. So that we put in here however many years that we decide to do it for, could be up to 10 years, could be up to 20 years, whatever, that we would do this contract for fire and emergency protection, for protective services down there. And there's a list of equipment. Don't look at the one that's on the back sheet. It's the very last sheet is the current one. The one that printed off on the double side is not the current one. The very last page is the current equipment. A lot of that equipment would be beneficial for us. They have a grass truck down there. They would be beneficial to have when we go out on wildland calls and stuff like that. It should be up there with it. There should be specific contracts up there.
Last page.
Very
Is
last.
there another one up over there?
Do you have them?
Yeah, I put enough up there for everybody.
So what's gonna happen with the rest of the trucks and stuff?
I really don't want to.
She just gave me this one.
Last several years, we've had a lot of issues.
Thank you.
I was told by one of the other manufacturers that does our test pumping that it's gonna cost you more in the long run.
Yeah.
They could sell that, put that back in their general fund, fix it.
Yeah,
do what they want to do
yeah.
with it. I do have the building on there for extra storage if they would allow us to use that. I've also got, just the equipment, they've got a brand new SCBA air compressor down there. Ours is getting to be aged and eventually it's gonna have to be replaced. They also have, the air packs were actually done with a county grant. And so was the Lucas device. There's a lot of equipment on there that adds up to a lot of money that would save. And I know in the predicament that they're in, they don't have a whole lot of money, so I think this would be the better option for us. Just with that equipment, because it's equipment that I can be using now.
Okay.
So if you guys want to read that over, if you want to wait till next meeting, whatever, I just want to get these presented and get these going so we get.
Is it on as an action item tonight? Oh, okay.
We have the option.
So if you're ready, you guys can, but if not, we can move it.
And Matt's looked this over as well, and
Matt has looked at this over, Skylar's looked at this, Skylar's on the road.
Wrote it, okay.
We, of course, we will have to check some of the dates because it's set in the mailbox for quite a while.
Yeah, it says,
Joe had to re-email it when he was here and then
okay,
we finally got Matt to say, yeah.
okay.
So those are basically where we're at. I think this will bring a little bit of equipment that we actually need that down the road, I do need an additional cardiac monitor and like I said, brand new right now, we're running about $70,000.
So on the last page, you'll change the date from December 1st, 2014?
Yeah, I'll edit
Like
all
July
that.
1 or whatever date, okay, you'll update
Within
that.
the Malvern Cure agreement, I'll change
So
Malvern to
updating the
Tabor
dates.
and things like that, and then I'll give them to you guys. And then I'll go to I'll send those to Malvern and Tabor, and then we'll go
Okay,
before the city council down at Pacific Junction and talk to the mayor on submitting this to them and see if they're on the same page with it. I know last time I talked to him, he kind of hinted that that would be probably an option.
an option, okay.
I don't know how much of the equipment that they'll actually let us have, but
just that.
yeah.
Can they get you a list of the items then?
What's that?
Can they get you a list of what they've got down
Oh, I
there?
know what they
You've got the list? Okay.
Believe me, I know. what
You
they
been in
got.
there?
The thing
Okay,
is, I don't want to get into taking expired bunker gear.
Right.
They just have to store it, something that they can donate, do whatever they
Yeah.
want to with it.
okay.
And then really the only apparatus that would be sound down there would be the truck right now
Mm-hmm.
for the grass rig, which there's times we need 3 grass rigs depending on where we're at, so.
Okay. Anything else?
That is it.
You guys have any questions on it? You're going through it. Got a couple minutes left.
On the medical services agreement for Malvern and Tabernat, are the amounts in here somewhere, or am I just missing them?
Should be on the back page.
Oh, there it is, okay.
Oh, yeah. Fee schedule.
I looked at every page for that.
I was looking too and just thought I missed it somewhere in the translation. I know I
Thanks.
mentioned it, but. We're just reading a few things.
So are tier fees specifically when Malvern requests to be done?
When they call for us for a paramedic, when they need advanced level services, because they'll call and they'll say, we need a little bit of tier for a medic, and then they'll take our medic in the back of their squad, and our medic will have his equipment and basically be doing whatever they need.
Does that come through 911 call or do they just, okay,
They page us out.
they paid you out through 911?
So will this agreement be with the city of Malvern or with Malvern Fire and Rescue?
Well, I have that done up to both the city and Malvern Rescue have to sign it because years ago it went through the fire, the rescue association. And I'm not a real big fan of that. I think the city needs to be involved with it, especially when the city of Malvern has a contract with the Malvern Rescue Association.
Okay.
So who's gonna remit the checks,
Yeah,
the
that's
city of
not-
Malvern
The
or
Malvern Rescue is the one that cuts the checks right now.
the Malvern Volunteer Rescue? Is that stated in here?
Yeah, I believe it says Malvern Volunteer Rescue Association in the actual agreement. And the same thing with Tabor, the city of Tabor cuts the check for Tabors.
So the city of Malvern cuts the check for them?
Malvern Rescue cuts their own.
They cut
check.
their own checks?
The city of Tabor cuts them for Tabor though. They do the same thing, we go and respond over there as well. And they, the city of Tabor actually cuts the checks for them.
Okay,
Malvern, it actually says Malvern Rescue, which is they're a nonprofit entity. But I had them put the city of Malvern on there because I want to make sure that the city of Malvern is clear on everything that's going on. Because to me, I think they need a little bit of city involvement with these contracts because.
does
they're getting- Joe, I already talked to.
is he okay with it, getting approval from his council?
They'll have to be, so. Because we're going into the city of Malvern quite a bit to haul patients and stuff or provide tier services. And
Okay.
we have.
Does the city of Malvern fund them?
They have a contract with.
They have a
them.
contract with
And
the,
then the actual townships give them money for the rescue squad.
okay,
Because their fire and their EMS over there is separate, but they actually get money from the townships that they respond to.
Matt, have we ever not responded for non-payment?
Nope. It's kind of one of those things, you're in a, if they paid
It's an
you out
ethical thing.
911,
yeah.
that at that point you have a duty to act. I mean, we can respond and say we don't have the crew available, that's different. But if you can't really say you're not gonna respond because of non-payment.
But that's what we say here. We say if Malvern does not pay Glenwood for EMS under this agreement.
I think the contract, that's contract language, that if you don't pay it, then we're gonna cut services and you don't find somebody else.
Okay, so we have the ability to do that, but in real life, like
In
we
real
would.
life,
Right.
they call, but there's times that we have not had a paramedic because our
Sure.
paramedics out on other calls, that they just need to be feet and get down.
No, I understand that. This just says, even if Glenwood is available and has sufficient staffing, supplies, and transportation. So I understand for contract purposes, but,
Comes first. Our first due area comes first.
okay.
So. We've never actually done that, but it can be done, but it's one of those things we really don't want.
No, of course not, yeah.
Huh? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we have about 5 minutes, so get started. and say the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join us if you are able. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Ask the clerk to call roll call.
Kate,
Yes, here. Do that every time.
Duran,
Here,
It's okay. We do it. Is that it? Okay. I'd like a motion then to approve the consent agenda as printed. Is there a motion?
So moved, Kate's.
Second,
Lines?
any discussion? Roll call, please.
Duran,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
Lyons.
Yes.
Okay, at this time, we allow visitors to address council. Visitors may be limited to 3 minutes for comments. As per the Iowa Open Meeting Law, council can only listen during public comments and cannot take any action or that are not posted on agenda. The council can take issues under advisement. Aaron, now you're up. Come on up, please.
And I'll just provide some texture
Sure.
to the conversation that was earlier
Yes.
on the food trucks. And so, I've been invested in this community since 2003, lived here since 2016. So I want to make sure that we are protecting the brick and mortar buildings that are here. And so when we have fees for food trucks, we talk about $25 a day or $125 for a year. I also want it to be brought notice that that money generated by food trucks leaves this town. It does not stay here. And so all we're getting is $25 from these vendors. So as for me with my business, my money goes to Glenwood State Bank. Then my money goes to my employees, which pay their utilities, which pay their rents. And so the impact financially that our business has is significant in this community. And when we talk about with food trucks, that money leaves town the second that it is spent here. And so it doesn't provide variety to our guests and I should say guests, to our community for different products, yes. But from a financial impact, it's a negative impact. And I really want to make sure that we do the things to protect our brick and mortar buildings, our businesses. I was listening to some of the comments about the inspections, and I would want to make one suggestion, is who's the food safety handler on that application, and will that person be present? That's something that we have to have within our restaurants as a certified food safety person. And so if we don't have that down, that poses a risk to the food safety and the health of our community. So that's something I want to make sure that we take seriously as well as the sex offenders and people that just aren't warranted in our community. The other thing I want to make sure is that, are they licensed in the state of Iowa? If they're not licensed in the state of Iowa, how is that handled? And then how are they reporting their sales tax? I know that this only is within city limits, but we've had food truck establishments that have visited our county outside of our city limits that we don't have control of. But I know for a fact they were charging the Omaha sales tax, which is close to 10%. And it's my belief that that money was being pocketed by those business owners and not being reported, of course, especially if they're charging the Omaha sales tax. And they weren't even licensed in the state of Iowa. But again, it's outside of our realm within the city. I know you guys can't control that, but I want you to be aware that that is something that is happening and has happened, especially when there was an establishment south of town that was bringing in food trucks regularly. Those food trucks were not charging the proper tax. So my guess is that they weren't reporting that. Okay. I don't know all the code of what's required from a food truck standpoint, but some of the things that I always ask is to make sure that and this is not only for food trucks, I think this would be also remote vendors. We have a lot of people that ask to be set up in our parking lots, and I don't do it. People that want to sell products, that would compete with our local businesses, and I don't do it, whether it be in this community or other communities that I have businesses in. The ask is that, we don't have food trucks set up within 100 yards of another established business to the entrance of those businesses. that they post their license and food safety information, and especially with the food handler permits, that those are posted on site. Those are things that are required for me and my business, and I think they should be required for those businesses. I also want to bring up the fact that we got to remember that these places do not have running water. While there are regulations in place for potable water, they don't have running water, they don't have established utilities, and so they do provide, they do potentially have a risk of food safety procedures, especially when they're not being monitored closely by the health department per se. My business is open 7 days a week to be inspected by the health department. Those food trucks that come and go in these communities are tough to track down, and so if there is a food safety risk, it becomes an issue. So I know this isn't a time for dialogue, but I just wanted to bring a few of those points up.
We appreciate it.
And also the last one that I had, and I just, for my notes here, is if there's any kind of safety recommendations, because these food trucks are set up in places that are not accustomed to traffic, what are we doing to protect the people that are attending these food safety trucks? Are there cones set up? Are there other sort of markings to help the safety of these people? I've had other McDonald's owners that have expressed concerns of food trucks in their communities where people have been hit, children have been hit by vehicles that have been running around in front of these food trucks. So those are just things that I have concerns about. I just want to make sure that we
Definitely
take
need
those
to be
things
addressed.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it, Aaron. Okay.
Thank you.
Are there any other visitors that would like to address council?
Aaron, I always appreciate also on Facebook and the buzz, whenever anyone has anything to say about McDonald's, that you always step up and say, hey, I'm the owner. If you have anything, please come and speak to me. Like, you're always very upfront with
I
people.
appreciate that, yeah. I represent hopefully I represent our, restaurant in a positive manner.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
My
Absolutely.
grandkids love your chicken
Kids are
nuggets.
involved in the community.
Okay. Next on the agenda is the Glenwood Redevelopment Corporation update. Larry and Mark, just Mark.
Just Mark.
No, Larry.
It's not just Mark, it's Mark.
Yeah. So Larry, I think that it is.
Thank you, Aaron.
Track meet.
Oh, sure, Josie, yeah.
Thank you. My name is Mark Norman, for those of you that haven't had the opportunity to meet yet. And I'm the new executive director of the Mills County Economic Development Organization. I also serve on the Glenwood Redevelopment Corporation Board as the secretary, so I get to serve a dual role there. So wanted to give you a quick update as to where we're at with the campus there. And I know Larry was here a month or so ago and gave you an update. And, he always talks about June 30th was the date where the state had identified they want to shut down that central power plant and they want to be out of there. They want to kind of say that's it, we're out, and have no more connection to the campus there. So the focus has really been on getting utilities set up to both the school administration building and the Glen Haven nursing home, right? Because they're all hooked up to the central power plant. Everything was supplied by that: water, sewer, electric, fiber, internet was all coming through the campus there. And so we're getting everything set up. Glen Haven is looking really good. I know that everything is on schedule to get completed here within the next couple of weeks, and they should be set up fine. Everything's also looking good for the school district. With some of the power, there's some equipment that has to get ordered and is maybe a little bit of a delay. So their electrical contractor is working on some temporary solutions to get that moving forward. But we anticipate that we should be on time for the June 30th transition, if not very close for that. So that's good news. So that's been our focus to get that done. In the meantime, we've also been working to try to get our architect engineer under contract and moving forward as to what their scope of work will be moving forward with the redevelopment of the site and how that's all going to work. So we've got a lot of procedures that we have to follow with the state. They've given us some dollars to help with that redevelopment and getting it development ready. But with that comes a lot of procedures and I'll say red tape that we've got to follow. Part of that is making sure that contract is suitable for the state as we move forward. It's the GRC will have the final approval, but we also make sure the state's a partner in this, and we want to make sure that everything is good with them as well. So hopefully here within the next, I'll say, week to 10 days, we should have that architect engineer under contract and be able to move forward. First big step will then to issue an RFQ for the master developer, who would be the person, the team of people who would help with the management of, I'll say, the demolition and the construction activities up there, right? So I've heard two different numbers, between 86 and 97 buildings up there of all sizes, right? And so the majority of those buildings probably aren't really in a state where you could reuse them in an effective manner. And so a good chunk of those buildings will probably just get demolished. And so that'll be a big contract, taking out all of the underground tunnels that are on site, removing the utilities that are needed there, and decommissioning the power plant, central power plant. So a lot of effort's going to be taken to do that demolition. Then we'll install a new utility spine, so all new water, all new sewer, all new electric, natural gas to go up there to serve the redevelopment as we move forward. Redevelopment could potentially take a year and a half to 2 years to get it ready for new development to happen. Some stuff could happen earlier, but again, the focus will be on making sure that we get it ready and update the master plan that was previously done to move forward. So that'll be some of the focus. We're up there, we're trying to get it mowed on a regular basis. We're mowing the right of way on a weekly basis, and we're mowing the bigger areas on about once a month basis right now. We know we need to try to keep it under control as much as possible, but it's also very expensive to mow. They had, I think, 4 or 5 people full-time constantly doing yard work and mowing and all that up there. We don't have that capacity, but we'll try to do the best that we can. We've also ordered some barricades so that we can block off some of the streets and be able to control some of the access to some of the areas that people don't need to, the public don't need to go into. There's, a lot of people up there, looking around sometimes, and we need to control that. And the state has said you need to control that from a liability perspective. So that's what we're doing from that maintenance perspective. One of the things, again, that you'll be considering here in a little bit is the urban renewal plan for that, and talking with the city, Mitch, and the mayor, the ability to utilize tax increment financing down the road is going to be very important for the redevelopment of the site. I don't know exactly how that's going to take place, in what form, what they're going to be needing, but we want to have that now in place while it's still, in a state of, I don't want to say disrepair, but it's not in a good use right now, right? And so the declaration of substandard and blight is very, very applicable right now. And so we appreciate the opportunity to work with the city and be able to get that done. And obviously, come back to the city with every project, specific project, to have that and any discussion with TIF that may have to happen there. So that's brief overview. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have, and we just appreciate it. And we really like the partnership that we have with the city. We appreciate that, and Mitch has been fantastic, so we appreciate that. So.
Thank you.
I was just curious, you said the state provided money to do a lot of this. Do you know how much that was?
I do. That will probably be released at some point in time. I don't.
You haven't physically received any money.
That's a good point. We won't get
They
any.
committed, but there's not a dollar been delivered yet.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
So any expense
Not a
that we
dime.
have, we have to turn in an invoice and a payment request. They'll in turn and review it, approve it, and then we've established a bank account and they'll send it to us. So really, whatever we do,
the state has to approve it and,
Well, that's good.
and do, which covers our, exposure as well.
Hmm.
But so it's not totally a GRC decision to do a lot of these things. We can say, we'd like to do this, but if the state says no, we can't do it.
Okay.
And, the
And
state.
eventually they'll release the dollar amount. We're just waiting on
We're just waiting
on their approval
Yeah.
of how much.
So as we,
Probably it'll change.
yeah, I think as we go into the redevelopment and get some of that started, but again, it's a number that's there, but if, we may not use it, we'll have to see. It has to have we have a list of qualified uses, and if it falls outside of that use, we can't use it. So it's basically, the dollars are there to demolish, install new infrastructure, do a few cosmetic things, and that's it. So to get it development ready. So if we wanted to go out and do something else, we couldn't do that.
Thanks, Mark.
And is there a place that the community can go to stay updated on what's happening?
Eventually.
Okay, lots of questions about what's
Eventually,
going on up
yes.
there.
There
It's
is a
on my-
website.
It's on my to-do list.
Yeah.
Under the Mills County Economic
Yeah, but
Development,
that's
there's a
really there.
There's
webpage.
not a whole lot there.
There's a webpage that's dedicated to the GRC.
It's not
I'm not a whiz when it comes to WordPress, but I just need to get in there and start updating it.
Okay.
At some point in time, there'll be, opportunities, for local, local contractors and other folks to look and see what opportunities there are to do work up there. But
Well, when it's time to do the RFQ for the master developer, that'll be on there, won't we
Um,
post it there
it
with the
will be,
state?
we'll have to post it, we have to post it to the state's
Right. But could we-
website.
Will that be posted there too?
We may,
Possibly.
yeah,
Oh,
I
okay.
think we'll have to figure that out.
Figure it out, okay.
Well, and if you're gonna be doing periodic briefs like this, you could advertise, watch the city council live stream and
Yeah,
information that way.
thanks. Yeah, that's true too.
I mean, it's very important for us is how do we make sure that the local, contractors and businesses can get involved up there. So we're constantly harping on that.
And then for the RFQ, will there be any preferences given to local contractors, whether it's the general contractor or subcontracts?
So with the RFQ will be for the master developer. And so the master developer will be kind of like, over all the other potential developers and the contractors. And really what the initial phase one of the master developer contract, we're still working on that. Will really be managing the demolition, managing the installation of the new utilities. That will be their role for that. And so our architect engineer, probably engineer, is gonna be doing the bid specs and all that. Those we put out, those will be advertised. And then the master developer will manage the actual implementation of that. Again, the GRC doesn't have the expertise or the capabilities to manage that. And so that's what.
But local contractors will be invited to.
Yeah, local developers will be invited to.
Right.
And a local developer could apply, could put in their qualifications for the master developer as well. Yeah, it'll be open
But that's only one.
It'll be open to whoever.
Right, but I've seen in a lot of contracts where the master developer, understand maybe they're local or not, but that the subs that they're bringing in to do some of that work, that a certain percentage of the funds have to go to local. So it may not be them, but those subs that they're bringing in to do the demolition or do these others, where a certain percentage of the funds have to be for Mills County or whomever.
Right, and we're encouragement of the local contractors is key. I don't know if we'll put a required percentage in there or not. It could be something we discuss.
Because that'll depend on how many want to do it.
Yeah.
There's some that may not,
Yeah,
but.
if there's some kind of
But we
preference
definitely
given
want
to
them to be
someone.
involved.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the big chunk is gonna be demolition. That'll be probably the largest contract is the demolition of the buildings, demolition of some streets, demolition of the tunnels, and those type of things. So that's gonna be a big chunk.
And I have one last question on safety.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the barricades, but barricades are not, right? I mean, that's just, it's like having your door up with it not blocked.
Yeah.
So anyone who wants to get through can. And we've heard from some folks that safety is becoming a concern up there. And so with it being within, Glenwood Police Department would respond up there, though it's not technically Glenwood property, right?
It's city property.
City
but
property.
It's GRC kind of owns it, basically, but,
Right.
Yeah,
I wish
it's
Eric
it's
was-
within the city.
but it's city limits.
Okay, so
Yeah.
if we're responding to numerous calls up there then,
Mm-hmm.
at what point do we start doing some cost sharing? Or is there a way that we can do more than a barricade?
You know, and that's a discussion that we've had early on, is the security and how can we make sure that people aren't doing stuff up there that they shouldn't be doing.
Right.
And that's probably something that, as the GRC board, we need to sit back and revisit. And how can we help? Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like locking your door. It'll keep the honest people out, right? It doesn't keep
Yeah,
the-
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what can we do? I mean, can we install cameras? Can we, can we do something else? I think there's things that we can maybe look at. And again, we'd have to get approval from the state to do it.
And we'll have to see if there's money, if some of that money could be used for that kind of thing for security.
Yeah.
To hire maybe somebody to be up there. We don't know what the.
No, I get it. But our police department is already strapped and working
We're shorthanded.
overtime
Yeah, they're shorthanded,
You
so
know,
they
so-
can't be up there on a
on a regular
24-hour
basis.
basis.
Yeah.
No, and that's a very good point. That's something that, yes, we should revisit.
Yeah.
And it might be less expensive to hire someone to be at the entrances, right?
Could be.
Than it
Yeah.
is, I mean, just,
Yeah, and we're gonna be getting some signs up here, too, that'll say, not public, access. So again, won't discourage necessarily the bad
Right.
actors, but, again, just try to get as much up there as we can and say,
Yeah.
to do that, but yes.
absolutely. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
yep,
Thank you.
thank you very much. Okay, departmental reports are next. Nothing from the library board to report,
No, I asked for
okay?
anything. and-
Nothing from cemetery?
Nope.
Mark, or the park already here. Jamie had nothing to report. Eric had nothing to report. Matt? You're up.
First thing I have on there is I have a bid sheet filled out to start putting, Old Mag 3 up. I'd like to set the minimum bid is, I wouldn't want to take anything less than 30,000 for it.
Okay.
A lot of research that they're selling right now, they're going anywhere from 30 to 40 to 50,000. I wouldn't want to take any, I wouldn't want to leave it. But I also don't want to hang on to it forever either, so. They should have a copy of the form and everything on your. so
Yeah, and I forgot to print that off. Does it say that you have the right to refuse
Yeah.
bids then, so that you don't have to? Okay,
I think it says we have the right to refuse and.
Okay.
Yeah, if you go down to the bottom, the city receives the right to.
Thank you.
reject any-
I forgot to turn this. I don't have it in front of me, so, sorry. Okay, so I'm gonna look for a motion to approve the sale of the 2013 Aero Type 1 ambulance.
So
Diesel.
moved.
Okay, thank you. Kate,
Kate's,
second.
Duran?
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Duran,
Yes?
Kate,
yes.
Lyons.
Yes.
Okay, so now we'll ask for the motion to approve the tier agreements for Pacific Junction contract.
Tender agreement contract and then the Pacific Junction contract.
Okay, there's two things on it. Do you want those as one motion then?
Yeah, just all one, just to approve those contracts.
Because this will be for the Malvern,
The tier agreement is Malvern and Tabor.
Malvern and Tabor. Yeah, we need to just note that on here so it's not confusing. And then the PJ contract. So a motion, please.
So moved, line.
Second,
Duran?
any discussion? Roll call, please.
Duran,
Yes?
Lyons,
Yes.
Kate.
Yes.
Okay, anything else, Matt?
Since last council meeting, we had 64 calls for service. We had a fatality accident on 34 and 29 on Friday. We also did the push-in ceremony for the new Medic 3 and basically got it into the station, and tones dropped for a call, so it went right back out on the call.
It wasn't even in there, it wasn't even parked, was it?
No, it was counted in there.
It's
So,
like, everybody moved.
Also, code enforcement wise, I did get a hold of, White Oak Station, Come and Go, whatever you wanna call the building now, but, they came down last week and, I was pretty, firm with them that they need to clean the property. They came down and, trimmed it up,
I noticed that.
sprayed,
little stuff.
cleaned it, and they assured me that that property is gonna be opening up within the next 30 to 60 days. We'd see movement on it. I told them that I've been told that several times. I want actual.
Another
check-ins
gas
with it.
station then?
Yep. Supposedly the DNR was the holdup and they've got that rectified with their, people that hold their mortgage, and they said the same thing, that they've gotten headway through the
Okay.
DNR.
So we might
So that should be hopefully be getting cleaned up.
okay,
Also, Dollar General, they're about at the 3 weeks, so I will be good contacting him again.
yes, I
Because
was,
I also want him to trim the stuff in the right of way as well when they're
the trees,
come down.
Yeah.
And I served probably about 4 or 5 abatement notices for mowing and a couple of others for some other things that I will be going through this next week for dangerous buildings.
okay,
Other than that, that's pretty much
okay,
it.
well, thank you.
What did you say on the Dollar General thing?
Their 3 weeks is up.
Yeah, 3 weeks.
Okay,
is
that's
about
what I thought, I just wanted
When
to.
I was in there this weekend, that's what the gal that was, are they coming soon? I don't know, I hope so.
Yeah, they told me it'd be 3 weeks. And this
Yeah,
is
and
the
it's third week
so-
is up, so, yeah, okay. Maybe call Fooses directly and see where they're at, what's your schedule? Okay, Mitch, you're up next.
Got the May financial report in your packet for you to review, and
Yep.
if you have any questions, happy to answer them, now or later, when you have time to review. I need to table the, union contract for next meeting, but it will be done next meeting. We finally got some last little paragraph, cleaned up.
Figured out.
And agreed to, so now just need them to put signature, pen to paper, so that will be done.
Okay,
Before I give a pool update, I also wanted to give a update from some of the projects with Jake. So the manholes on Locust, he's awaiting Western Engineering to get back on their schedule, but that should be within the next week or two that they'll get back, is what they said. So we'll see what they say when they give them their schedule. Sharp Street project, one of the GeoBond projects. The pre-construction meeting is on Friday to discuss the exact schedules, but they'll potentially start next week, but won't know for sure until that meeting. And I don't know how the contractor will plan to do it, if they'll just completely shut down the street and it'll be completely closed, it'll be faster for them to do it that way, or if they'll leave it one lane and do one lane at a time, but then that will take them longer, so I'll leave that up to Jamie and them to determine. Then the asphalt overlay project, they'll be mobilizing early next week, and they plan to do some of the concrete preparation portion first before they get to the tearing up the streets and overlaying. So it's gonna be a lot of road construction soon, starting up in town. And then the Chestnut project, they're almost done. If you drive by behind City Hall, they're waiting for that permanent barricade to get in, and then they'll install that and then come and finish up the paving in the parking lot. And then the Burbach report, They did actually, just before the meeting, send the draft of the report to Jake, so we should have the final report hopefully pretty soon for the pool.
Finally.
That ties into my pool update.
Mhm.
So once I have that final report, I'll be able to get that and some other information historical information I've been working on getting to the attorneys. And then the mayor and I have planned in the next couple of weeks to meet and discuss the pool committee idea. Other than that, we've been waiting on that final report from Burbach, so hopefully they'll have that soon. They've just got that out now for final review with a couple of their subcontractors that helped and Jake. So it's almost done. And then we had Danny is going to be leaving us, so we'll be needing to post the city clerk job opening. So I would like approval to be able to post the job opening and hopefully get someone hired that Danny can help train before she leaves.
Okay. Well, let's start with the May financial report. Is there a motion to approve the financials?
So moved, Duran?
Is there a second?
Fine.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Lyons,
Yes.
Duran,
Yes?
Kate's.
Yes.
Thank you. We need now a motion to table the union contract till the next meeting. Motion?
So moved.
Lyons, second.
Duran?
Duran got it. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Kate's,
Yes.
Duran,
Yes?
Lyons.
Yes.
Motion to allow Mitch to post the job posting for city clerk.
Kate's so moved.
Second.
Lines?
Any further discussion?
If we say no, does that mean Danny can't go?
Yeah, there you go.
We
Roll
tried
call.
that.
Yeah, we tried
fast.
that.
It
Roll
didn't
call,
work.
please. We'll miss you. Roll call?
Lyons,
Yes.
Duran,
Yes?
Kate's.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, we'll be missed. Number 7, special events. We have a baseball field dedication this Friday night for Officer Abbott for field, the new field 165. And they would like to have a few firecrackers go off, fire, boom, boom, boom. So they are requesting a special event for fireworks permit. I've got it somewhere in here.
And we'd like to waive the application.
And we'd like to waive the application fee for that.
Since it's a city park.
So if you've not seen it, it's gonna be from 6 to 8:30, Friday night, June 13th. So asking for approval to waive the application fee and for the fireworks. Have you
So
guys
moved.
seen that? You need
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
see- Okay, so no questions on it. Okay. Kate's, thank you. Second,
Lines?
any questions?
Do we have specific situations in our policies and procedures when we waive the fee and when we don't?
Well, this is for a city-owned park. So, it's for our own park that we own, so
Right?
I don't know about if we have actual fees. I think the historical has been like, I don't know.
Special
Mayor
events,
could give
certain
more.
special events, it just kind of depends on the circumstance.
Nonprofit.
Nonprofits
Yeah.
usually, like we waived, I think, for the school, just different things.
Chamber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
yeah.
don't have any sort of written policy.
Okay, roll call, please.
Lyons,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
Duran.
Yes.
Okay, and then the Mills County Historical Museum has a lawnmower poker run. Yay, 23rd already, wow. And that event is August 23rd from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. And the event location is at the park, museum, and then 6 stops on City Square. It's kind of a repeat thing. I don't know if they've changed as far as routes and such. I think it's pretty much the same. Jeff Evans is contact. And again, asking to waive the $25 because it's for the museum, a nonprofit.
So moved, Kate's.
Kate's, is there a second?
Duran?
And any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Lyons,
Yes.
Duran,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
Okay, very good. Moving on, committee reports. Who's gonna talk about the user agreements? Christina or Mike? Okay, perfect. Thank you.
We went over the user agreements for the ball clubs and different organizations that use the facilities in Glenwood. And we had representatives here from pickleball and soccer. And it looks like all the agreements are pretty much good to go except pickleball and the baseball softball league need a little bit more tweaking.
Right. So we can just do approval of soccer, the adult volleyball, adult softball,
And the why?
YMCA. Yes, so if there is a motion for those 4,
So moved, Duran?
in a second,
Kate's.
any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Kate,
Yes.
Lyons,
Yes.
Duran.
Yes.
Okay, and then we'll bring pickleball and baseball back in 2 weeks, hopefully. Okay, and then admin,
All right,
that's you, sorry.
that's me.
Thank you.
So we talked about food trucks, and came with recommendations for a different fee structure. Currently, it's $25 application fee with a $200 fee for up to 6 months and $300 for up to a year. So we discussed, modifying that application fee to up to $50 to make sure that, the city costs are being covered with Matt's time, going out to do inspections, as well as, City Hall's time to issue the license. And then, changing the fee structure to $25 a day, or $125 annually. We did have one person from the community come that was, not in favor of food trucks and raised some valid, concerns. And so I guess we'll talk about those. We also talked about the tier agreements, for the fire department, going to Malvern and Tabor. Those have been reviewed by the city attorney and making adjustments to the fee schedule for fee tiers, tier fees, but not the coverage fees. And then also talked about emergency response and fire protection for Pacific Junction. And essentially exchanging service for some of the equipment that they have in Pacific Junction that would be useful to our fire department.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask for a motion on the new food truck application and fee for a $50 application fee, a $25 per day, and $125 annual. Motion, please.
So moved, Duran?
Second,
Do we have a copy of that here? It's not on the packet.
Just the fee change?
No,
the application.
yeah. Well, the,
Can I get a second, then we'll do the discussion?
okay.
Do you wanna do the second? Do you wanna second it?
Second.
Lyons? Okay, any further discussion? No, what's your question?
Is it state in there that the truck can't be within 100 feet?
Yeah, that's on there already.
That's what I thought.
The only thing that they wanna change was, I think it's
Yeah,
other.
you can't change anything but the fees, because the
That's-
ordinance only allows you to change the fees with resolution. If you wanna
Resolution.
change anything else, you've gotta change the
It's the
ordinance.
ordinance,
Okay.
But it does have that language.
but it's in there
And it also has safety measures
that
of
he addressed.
you can't be so
Those are all
close
in
to
there.
the
Yeah.
street.
I just personally, I think the 100 feet should be bigger.
I thought it said 150, but maybe I'm wrong. I think he said 100, but I think it's.
No, you said 100 yards.
Oh, I didn't hear what, okay, I just heard the 100.
And I personally would lean more towards that than.
Yeah, but it's, yeah,
Yeah.
the ordinance would be a different
Okay.
topic, but, okay. Roll call, please.
Joanne,
Yes,
Kate,
Yes.
Lyons.
Yes.
All right. Now we're moving on to a public hearing for the GRC Urban Renewal District. And it is 7:40 PM. I am going to open the public hearing on the proposed ordinance renewal. Recognition of publication, the notice of the public hearing was published on May 21st, 2025 in the Opinion Tribune, correct? And the city clerk report of any written objections filed at City Hall. I believe we received a written
We did,
comment. I don't know.
but it will
It's not
go
an
down
objection.
in the public comment.
It's not an objection.
Oh, okay, so is there any call for objection statements or exhibits for any council consideration out there? No? Okay, so at this time, we'll have public comment.
And then we just have a letter.
Do you want to read it?
I can.
Okay, yep, let's read it.
So on 5/30/25, Honorable Mayor Winquist, City of Glenwood Council members, the City of Glenwood Planning and Zoning Board supports the establishment of the Urban Renewal Plan 2025 GRC redevelopment urban renewal area. There is a concern with how the final development plan will comply with the current definitions, land use, and fit with the overall community. It would also be helpful to know the structures or uses will remain in the final plan, e.g. the Glenwood School Administration Building, the firehouse, Glen Haven, and cemetery. Respectfully, Dick Davis.
Okay. Any other public comments? Okay. At this time, at 7:42, we will close the public hearing. Okay. Item 10, Resolution 3720 to declare necessity and establish an urban renewal area pursuant to section 403.4 of the Code of Iowa and to approve urban renewal plan and projects for the 2025 GRC redevelopment urban renewal area. So is there a motion to approve the resolution 3720?
so move Duran.
Is there a second?
Kate's.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Duran,
Yes,
Kate,
Yes.
Lyons.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and now there's a motion to approve a CDBG grant disaster recovery agreement with Mark Hughes. Mitch, you want to explain that a little bit? Email I got?
So the original CDBG agreement was for some work up at the Maplewood area, but instead they moved it to Birch Street. And so it's really just that admin thing on the address. It's already happened.
It's just correcting their paperwork.
Correcting their paperwork. But it needs, all funds run through the city, so it needs our approval.
It's not a new grant,
Nope.
and
And it's just for the disaster recovery, which is 100% pass through.
Yeah.
funds.
so I'm looking for a motion.
So moved, Kate's.
Thank you. A second.
Lines?
Any further discussion, questions? Roll call, please.
Lyons,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
Duran.
yes,
Okay, thank you. Now we'll move on to item 12, which is a motion to approve a JPA agreement with it should be SWIPCO, SWIPCO for taxi services in the amount of $5,000 for fiscal year 26, and we've been paying the $5,000 for the last few years.
Yep.
Yes, so if there's no questions, I'll ask for a motion.
So move Durand?
Second,
Lines?
any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Lyons,
Yes.
Duran,
Yes.
Kate's.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Item 13 is a community development block grant disaster recovery projects. Looking for a motion to approve the following pass-through CDBG funds for GAX 20, GAX 22, and GAX 60. The first two are for 712 lofts. $8,299.82 and $368,339. And the third one, Arbor Hills, for $15,918.09. Motion, please,
So moved, Lines?
and a second.
Kate's.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Duran,
Yes.
Lyons,
Yes.
Kate's.
Yes.
Okay. Item 14, Community Development Block Grant, Downtown Revitalization. We have 3 change orders attached on the agenda for CO number 8, number 10, and number 12, which is for 4 North Walnut, 6 North Walnut, and 409 Sharp Street. Any comments on that, Mitch? Nothing changes on dollar amounts?
Nothing changes on our dollar amounts.
So is there a motion?
So moved, Kate's.
Second?
Lines?
Any further discussion? Roll call?
Kate's,
Yes.
Duran,
Yes.
Lyons.
Yes.
Are they actually working on downtown Revite? Has the guy been out there?
Yeah, I saw him today.
You saw him today? I never see him, so I was like, where are they?
Yeah, they're working.
Good.
I think the mason should be here hopefully soon.
Soon?
Then you'll start to see.
Then we'll see
a
some
lot more
action.
work.
Okay.
But there's one of the guys working on the, just kitty corner across the square, that building right there.
Okay.
He's working on it. You look at the front of that building, you can start to see it sort of come together.
Oh, good. I'll have to drive over there on Sharp.
Yeah, it's on Sharp.
On the Sharp, the 409 Sharp. I'll go look.
Yeah.
Okay. The next item is a motion to approve the 23 Downtown Revite for SWIPCO invoice, 1455-20 in the amount of $666.
So move Durand?
In a second,
Kate's.
any discussion? Roll call, please.
Duran,
Yes.
Lyons,
Yes.
Kate's.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Now it's my report. Mitch and I attended a First Interstate Bank with the Kiwanis, received a $2,500 grant for their work at the Hiley Park. And they gave me, and I brought it, now I've lost it, so I'll pass it, I'll send it to you guys. It's a little history on the Kiwanis and Hiley Park. So that group has done a lot for the community and for Hiley Park, so much appreciated. And then whoever is available Friday night at 6 o'clock for the Field 165 dedication for the ball club, that'd be great too. Council member report, anybody have anything to report? Motion to adjourn.
So move Durand.
Second,
Lines?
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
7:49. Have a good evening. Thank you for coming.